Alright, before I start this, I would like to say thank you to Destructive Creations for sending me a key before the release of the game. I really appreciate that, and of course that won't influence my opinions. My opinions in this review are still just what I think of this game. So what is 63 Days? It's a real-time tactics game, or a stealth strategy game, however you want to call it. The game is set in World War II, in Warsaw, Poland, mainly during the Warsaw Uprising. You spend your playtime killing Nazis while hopefully being undetected. You have the typical view kills that you always have in this genre. You try to stay out of view of the enemies while getting to your objective. However, in this game there's also a combat mode, and the combat mode basically turns this into a top-down shooter. The control scheme changes to WASD movement, R to reload, left mouse to shoot. So if things get rough and you get seen, you can still try to shoot your way out of bad situations. Or if you just prefer to go loud, you can just do that, and I really like that the game gives you those options. There are some parts in the game where you have to shoot, like scripted battles for example, or some puzzles that require shooting, unless I'm just not smart enough to solve it in other ways. That's always a possibility. Generally, you have the choice how you want to approach the missions, if you want to try to stay undetected the entire mission, or if you just want to go guns blazing, it's your choice. I've played through the entire game twice now. On my first playthrough I tried to avoid any gunfight, and on my second playthrough I just shot my way out of bad situations whenever I got caught. And both playstyles are pretty fun. Stealthing an entire level takes of course longer than just shooting up the place, but I would say a level takes about 2 hours on the first playthrough if you have like a mixed playstyle, and there are 6 levels in total. Each level also has an optional objective each, and they're like save some prisoners or find a certain amount of water canteens and stuff like that. After beating a level you unlock a challenge mode, which is the usual challenges you have in this genre, which has kind of become the standard, but you can only beat those challenges on that challenge difficulty. On top of that, there are 3 hidden collectibles in each level. They are either some posters or some letters that give you some more history, some more backstory, if you will. You can read them in the pause menu. They were all really interesting to read, and it was also fun to look for them. So that's a nice bonus to have in my opinion. So let's move on to the characters. We have 5 characters in total. The first character we have is Youngster. He can wear German uniforms and speak to the Germans to distract them. His weapon of choice is the throwing knife, which quickly kills an enemy, but it makes a lot of noise due to the enemy screaming before they die. He can also throw stones that make the enemy look the other way. The next character that we have is Lynx, who is the older brother of Youngster. He can provoke enemies by making some noise and luring them to his current position, and his preferred way of killing people is by choking them out, which is silent but takes a bit of time. He's also the sniper of the group, and a nice detail that I like is whenever you snipe somebody and the enemy sees it, they drop to the ground and look for cover. Next up we have Henyu, who has a baseball bat with which he can hit enemies to temporarily stun them, but he can't stun people who wear a helmet. His second ability is something that I really like, and I think every character in this type of game should have, and that is of course pushing people. He can only use handguns and he cannot enter combat mode, so you can't quickly kill multiple people with his firearm. You gotta do it one by one with him. But he's the one with the Molotovs, which are like the best weapon ever in my opinion. And he's the only character who can sprint without making any noise. The next character is Storm, who is, with 24 years old, the oldest of the characters, which is still pretty young in my opinion. He got the best melee kill in the game, which is just a knife kill, but it's very quick and very silent. His second ability is a machine gun burst, with which he kills every enemy in a certain radius in quick succession. And he's also handling all the big weapons, so any tank that you might run into, he's gonna take care of. And that brings us to the 5th and final character of the group, which is Helga, who is the medic. She can heal anyone who's wounded with a medkit. She can play dead, and any enemy who sees her while she's playing dead will leave his position to investigate. Her final ability is called Stone Headshot, in which, she does what it says. Anyone who doesn't wear a helmet will be temporarily stunned and then look around. Anyone who wears a helmet will immediately look around. Combining these two skills can be very strong. Like, even if somebody's in a spot that is watched by a sniper, you can still lure them away by combining these two skills. And that's all of the characters. I don't want to dive deeper into the story because I don't want to spoil it. Before we get to my highlight of the game, I want to talk about the bad things, the things I didn't like, and some bugs. I didn't like that one of the optional objectives had a time limit on it. It might be a personal thing, but I kept thinking I gotta hurry up, even if it's just a side objective. I feel like a mission objective like that should stay in the challenges bit and not be included as an optional objective in the game. But other than that, there are pretty much no things that I dislike about the game. The game crashed, I think, 6 times in total for me, but there's so many quick saves and auto saves, so it doesn't really matter. You just boot it up again and you're right back to where you were, so that's not really a problem. Then I had this guy right here that you can see where my knife kept falling through the floor, the wall, whatever, landed on the street below, which was annoying. Some corridors and hallways were also too narrow, like sometimes there's only room for one guy and you would get stuck. Or like an enemy gets stuck behind a door. There isn't anything game breaking as far as I know, and most things can be fixed by loading an earlier save anyway. And then there's also some funny ragdolls going on in the game sometimes, but I think that's just a feature. You can't really say that's a bug because that is just too much fun. And I also had this sniper rifle here that wanted to escape the war.
Okay, the observers are down.
In summary, I would recommend the game to anyone who likes this genre. Anyone coming from the Mimimi games and similar games might have some trouble adjusting to the controls, but that should be doable. And anyone who liked War Mongrels is gonna like this too, that's for sure. And if you're unsure about the game, there's a demo out there that you can try on Steam, and you should do that. I haven't been able to check out the co-op mode yet because the game isn't officially out yet, but I'm looking forward to playing it with my friends. My favorite part of the game is how they portray World War II and the aesthetic, the atmosphere. It's all just horrible misery, and they're doing a very good job at showing that, which is, the way it should be portrayed. So I'm just gonna leave you with some impressions of that.
These are just children.
What's the difference? A corpse is a corpse.
And the world doesn't look like this.
Like what?
You poor kid.
Chcesz więcej? Proszę was! Kurwa, mów do mnie! Adres! Adres! Kurwa, jedna!
63 days. They say that the uprising lasted that long, but in fact, that's only how long we endured. The truth is that after just a week of moderate success, the rest of it was agony.